Hey everyone, Nico here. Just want to quickly recap end of day SPX trade I took. So I typically don't trade too late into the day, though I'm typically watching. So this one I did think of it as quite a clean setup, so I was willing to take the risk even though I typically avoid it just due to how hectic it can be. So overall thesis here, and this is so even if you, and I'll do this a bit later on, if you replay a bit back even towards like 320 on this first rejection here, you're still going to see a roughly similar setup as the one I'm about to point out. So overall thesis here is okay, SPX we're sort of at our, oh sorry, I drew that wrong, but SPX was on the bottom of our range, right? And we're having this inverse rug setup or trampoline setup, right? Where we have positive volume under negative volume. So overall thesis here is, can we get a bounce up towards 6950? SPY, this is a rug pull setup, but we're approaching from the top side. So I'm still willing to long it as long as we don't breach below 691 very deeply, because then we get more of a risk of price sort of break under, retest, and then get that full rug pull. QQQ as well, we had a range here with a slight bias upwards. So the safest entry actually would have been, can we wait for 620 to tap on QQQ? Based on SPX having the floor a bit higher, I was willing to take the play um, even without that 620 tap. So my rule of entry actually was we had put in a low here at QQQ at around 620.9, a little bit above, and over here on SPY towards like 691.6, 691.7, and SPX around 6940. So as soon as we started tapping this negative node, um, basically what I said is I had missed this earlier push upwards due to underbidding the fill a little too aggressively. So I said, okay, if we're able to take out low of day on either of the indexes, so obviously for SPX, it actually would have been down here. Um, I drew that pretty poorly, but like down here. Obviously QQQ was the previous low that I just mentioned, right? So once QQQ swept that, um, and SPY was or SPX was also sweeping this candle as well. I was willing to take calls there, right? So I think, as price was dropping, I underbid the contract, got filled super quick, or pretty late on this 349 candle. So almost immediately, right? We had this 350 candle pump upwards. So I was just rushing to putting in a sell limit, right? And then, so I bought in here. I think they were 45s. I believe I bought 6.945s calls for $1, and then yeah, quickly sold for $2. So 100% on this trade, pretty quick outcome. And yeah, due to the 350 candle tends to be a pretty expensive move, either up or down. So it got filled pretty quickly afterwards, and that was that, right? I mean, obviously, what I had been hoping for was good volume from 6935 and 6940 roll up towards 6950. And could I see some sort of this QQQ 622 node activate, volume roll up to 6950, and that drag SPY upwards, right, and get more of an extended move. Um, Obviously that didn't happen. So yeah, these contracts quickly went back to break even, and then the day ended pretty choppy. It was just all pure chop. Now, and let me clear some of these drawings. This overall setup actually gave many opportunities. So even if you go back towards like 320-ish, we see a similar pattern here. It's a bit different, right? But we have the overall structure is the same. We still have this trampoline present on SPX. SPY is showing us a bit more bullish, right? Where we have pretty high stack of volume up here. So can we get a bounce off 691? And QQQ was showing, okay, we have mostly downside volume, but if we can sort of wake a little bit, hit this positive node, and then push upwards, that could also give a bit of a support. Or at least if we stray from 622, we can sort of snap back towards that node, right? The reason I didn't take this trade earlier towards 320, so I generally avoid mock. So I actually, or not mock, but the last 10 minutes, I would have preferred to get in earlier. The issue here was I was waiting for a full tap of 6935 and 691. And as you can see here, we never actually quite reached this area down here where that would have been the entry I was looking for. So Yeah, that doesn't always happen, right? Sometimes we will bounce a bit early on some of these nodes. We'll bounce higher on the buffer. And for ex in the case of SPX, I was looking for the lower node to bounce. And sometimes we bounce a bit sooner off the top node, right? Um, so yeah, obviously by playing the more conservative entry, we will miss some plays, right? So I missed probably, one, two, three entries, right? And caught this final one, um, but yeah, this whether you take these or not is also going to depend a bit on how aggressive you are in your approach. But there's a trade-off, obviously, right? These didn't hunt very deep, but if they were to have hunted deeper, you'd be sitting through more drawdown on that trade, right? But obviously, yeah, today slightly more, say, aggressive playing the higher note here and not waiting for a full tap of 691 ended up playing out quite well, right? There's one, two, three, four opportunities to grab calls on this setup. So yeah, hopefully this was of use. Yeah, thanks for watching.